Alright, having established the horse on the page, we can now have a little bit of fun and get a bit wild. I've mixed up some cadmium yellow, some fluorescent blue, and that's given me a nice light yellowy green. And as you can see, whoops, from the drips, I've got quite a watery, thin mix of paint, which I'm applying in a very haphazard way, lots of different direction brush strokes, using a big 1-inch brush to establish a background colour. And I'm just going right up to the edges of my horse. Again, not overly concerned if I overlap the edges a little bit, but I certainly don't want to obliterate what I've done. And you can really just scrub the brush against the page. And one of the most fun things I find is painting with a really old frayed brush. They definitely have their uses. You can be as brutal with them as you like without fear of damaging them. And in different circumstances, they can provide a huge variety of mark making. So really good fun to paint with. Just catch that drip and putting down this very thin layer, filling in all the white space so that our horse has some kind of field to live in, or at least the start of a field. The acrylic dries so quickly that he says, having just smeared that little bit, but in general the acrylic dries very quickly, and so you can just paint right up to it or even over it on a warm day like this within a few minutes of applying it to the paper. The next stage is similar to what I did with the horse. With the horse, I established patterns of light and dark, and I'm going to do the same thing with the background. So this foreground region here, I want to be relatively dark to the background. And I'll probably introduce a wider range of colours later on in the process, but for now, I've just mixed up a green with a higher proportion of the fluorescent blue. And I'm just applying that quickly with a range of directions of brush stroke, and that's actually not that dark a green, but it's considerably darker than the other one. I'll perhaps add a little bit more blue now. Yeah, that's a bit more like it. Still not as dark as I'll go eventually, but for now that will be good. And then I'll also just put some gentle patches of that darker colour next to the areas of the horse which are bathed in light. So in other words, I'm increasing the contrast of light and dark wherever I can. And again, I'll probably soften, well, nearly every aspect of the painting that we have so far at a later stage. But for now, we've established the structure of our horse and the background, and that's the first stage of the painting complete. I just need to let the paint completely dry, and then I'll come back later and use some interactive acrylic paint to do the next layer.